Hi, my name is Dylan Boudreau, and this is my presentation on how to make a DNS DHCP server using a Raspberry Pi. I'm pretty much doing this for my senior project, and some of my purposes, some of my goals and motivations are pretty much to show a simplistic way that you're able to take a small little piece of hardware and convert it into a operating server that anyone could use. You can even keep it in your home. It provides a added layer of security, so long as you configure it the proper way. It also boosts performance networking wise. And this video that I'm doing right now is really one of the contributions I wanted to put out there, because when I was researching and doing a lot of guides for this, I didn't find too many easy to do tutorials. And you have your basic definitions and acronyms being DNS and DHCP, and that's pretty much just the domain name service and the dynamic host control protocol, which is just some basic factoring within networking. So we're going backwards. Some of our system attributes, our specifications, you need a Raspberry Pi. I'm using the 3 Plus model. You need a microSD card, enough to hold a fair amount of data. Essentially, you need enough memory. And some people use like a 8 gigabyte micro SD card, but I kind of went over and beyond and I got a 64 gigabyte one. You need basically another monitor, mouse, and keyboard, just like a basic computer setup. And for the project itself, we're using a separate laptop. Now, some of the software that we'll be using for my report side of things would be the speed test client little thing, iPerf3, and speakeasy.net. These are just basic like network speed tests to see the effectiveness of everything. My personal internet provider is actually Frontier, and it's a fiber optic network, so I can't imagine that there would be too many noticeable changes from using the server on my home internet in comparison to probably other servers. But let's get into it. The outline is basic, our introduction, our background, topology, and the step-by-step. Really, we're going to try and just go straight to the step-by-step. This other stuff is meant for my actual presentation. Alright, so step-by-step. One, you need to format this micro SD card. You need to assemble the hardware. Got to download and configure the software DNS mask. That is very important right there. And you need to configure another PC to use your Raspberry Pi. So formatting the micro SD card, we need to download the operating system Raspberry. It's a basic one meant for the Raspberry Pi. You can use a couple others, but I decided to use Raspberry. And when you download it, there's a specific file called noob file. This is for, I guess, like rookies or wannabes like me who want to make an easy way to set up this hardware. You can get the another version that's really meant for, I guess, more experienced people. But because we're rookies and we're doing it like this, I would recommend using the noob file. They give you specific step-by-step instructions on how to configure everything. You can use what's different formatting tool if you have a SD card under 32 gigabytes. We have, or I'm using the 64 gigabyte one, so I have to use a specific formatting tool called FAT32 or FAT32. Once you do that and you use the noob file as the like the boot file for the operating system for Raspberry, then you need to assemble the hardware. Depending on what you use your Raspberry Pi for, I got a little kit. I bought my Raspberry Pi 3 Plus, and it came with its own little case and a couple cool heat sinks. But you have to put it in a very specific order. You need to make sure that your Raspberry Pi, the circuit board, is in first, then insert the micro SD card, and then put in the other components. If you do it out of order, you might break your micro SD card. So keep in mind that. I assembled everything. I put in my micro SD card last, monitor, mouse, keyboard, the basic stuff, and then there's a port for a Ethernet connection if you want that. Raspberry Pi 3 Plus actually comes with a Wi-Fi module, so you don't really have to worry about the hardwire. It kind of, would help if you have a wired connection, but it's okay if you don't. Once you assemble everything in the proper order, lastly, the AC power adapter, you want to do that last because there is no on or off switch when it comes to the Raspberry Pi. It's strictly just off and on. So be careful about that. When you get into there, it's pretty simple. It looks kind of like Linux with how everything is set up. Try and find where the terminal is in the operating system. When it boots up, sometimes it will give you a couple iffy tries. Like I had to plug it in a couple times just to get it to actually wake up. But again, you go to the terminal, and then you have to input what's listed on the monitor right over here. Sudo apt update. You need to update and then upgrade your operating system. Then after that, you can install DNS Mask. It's a completely free software. And there are a couple websites out there that'll help you, format it if you don't, there are other options besides the one I did. But once you install DNS Mask, and it'll take some time, you could go to the etc. file and then to the DNS Mask configuration file. Now this is important. When you open it up, everything will be commented. Everything has a pound sign in front of it. But just by itself, just by installing DNS Mask and configuring your PC to using the Raspberry Pi's IP address to that specific DNS server, it'll automatically be working. It'll already be limiting and remembering the websites. You can also add in others for the sake of improving network speed. But for it to actually act as a DHCP server, you would need to uncomment a specific line listed over here. It's the DHCP-range equals the software itself recommended these IP addresses here, the IP address range to be precise. When you do that, you will pretty much access 192.168.0.50 through 192.168.0.150. At the 12H towards the end is not 12 hexadecimal, it's actually 12 hours. That's the time stamp, that's the lease per IP address. Every 12 hours, it's going to cycle probably onto the next one. And then the next one every 12 hours up until it runs out, and then you probably need to reconfigure it another way. But to make sure these changes are implemented, you actually need to go back to the terminal and sudo service DNS mask restart. You need to restart the system, hey, refresh, and they'll implement all your changes. And from there, you have successfully created your own Raspberry Pi. I wish I'd be able to show you the actual screen of the DNS mask itself and the Raspberry Pi's screen, but it kind of isn't able to handle such recording software, not in a very strong way. So this is probably the best I was able to come up with for you guys. Other than that, we're probably going to end the video here. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm just kidding. That's a really terrible joke. Other than that, you guys have a good day. Peace.
Alrighty guys, so I'm recording this on my really crummy iPhone right now, and this is pretty much how everything is looking and running. So far, if you see the top right there, sudo apt update, that's how system updates here, and then the upgrade is right below. You'll see a butt ton of text. Oh my god, look how fun that is. But then if you look at the bottom right there, you'll see the DNS mask configuration file. So we can go into here, and then it'll be a blank screen. Yeah, that's totally what I meant. What the heck? Oh, maybe we clicked Y. Yeah, here we go. Now, now that we finally have it up, we could scroll through everything, and there's a lot of options over here that you can uncomment and activate via this software. Like I have the filter to Wink 2K right there going, just because I want to use Windows originated DNS requests. I'm using my laptop, which is just chilling right there, to act as the computer using this stuff. Then you can keep scrolling down through everything up until you reach specific line that will activate the DHCP little comment. It's kind of down here, right here. Right here where the cursor is, DHCP range, blah, 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 to yada, 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 for however long. You can alter that to whatever you want, but I just kept it standard just for simplicity's sake. But there are all these other options out here that you could do if you want to configure it further. And it has a lot of applications, but for the sake and simplicity, we're just doing the basics. But once you do that, once you make a change, you would press Control X, and normally it'd be asking you, hey, do you want to save the changes to the file? You would have to hit either Y or N, yes or no, and then it'll take you to this screen. After that, you would have to do a DNS mask restart, which I put in the video earlier, and you'll be rocking and rolling.